The gridiron to the airwaves. It's time for the Martin Houston Show with Martin, Xavier, and Simeon. Martin is a national championship fullback from the 1992 Alabama Crimson Tide. Known for his bruising runs and devastating blocks. Now he's bulldozing through sports talk with that same championship intensity. Joining him is his son, Xavier, a savant of football knowledge and statistical insight. He's your go-to source for the latest recruiting news and insider updates from across the Bama Nation. And Simeon, the thinker and contemplator, bringing you insight and knowledge that is logical, thoughtful, and on point. Together, they deliver fair and balanced analysis from an insider's perspective with real conversations where the callers, the listeners, and the online maniacs get in on the action by sharing their thoughts, their comment, and their reaction. Join our online maniacs at facebook.com/The Martin Houston Show. You're listening to Tide, 100.9 and 1230 WTBC. It's time for kickoff. So buckle up and get ready, because this is the sound of Bama sports. The Martin Houston Show with Martin, Xavier, and Simeon is live. Roll Tide, roll!
Roll Tide, roll, baby, roll Tide. Anyway, big news coming down out of the courtroom on yesterday. How does it impact the Alabama Crimson Tide? What are you feeling? What are your thoughts? Poster child, unfairly targeted, right ruling, agree, disagree, somewhere in between, both disappointed and in some ways happy, glad, etc. Did Greg Sankey's endorsement serve as the nail in the coffin to the Bediako story? Was it about college athletics? Was it about protecting eligibility? Or was Sankey a self-preservation move? We'll talk about all of those things and more. We'll also get DC and X's thoughts on the it factor. What is the it factor that the board needs to add to this team? We talked a little bit about passion, and we've talked about hunger and intensity and leadership. Those to me are characters. It factor is a little harder to describe. What is it? Who brings it? Did Saban have it because of Saban, or did Saban have it because of some of his staff? Did Saban have the same it factor at the end of his career that he had at the beginning and middle of his career? If he didn't have it at the end, what changed? What was going on? So either way, we are ready to get it rolling. I'm Martin Houston. That's Xavier Houston. Simeon is probably going to be joining us in a little bit. We also have DC Capstone Report. We'll be bringing those guys in just a moment. Good morning to the maniacs that's already tuned in. The rest of you guys, we welcome you in as well. The hotline is open 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That is the hotline. Also, remember, excuse me, and remember, Maniacs, you can always add your thoughts, comments, and reactions in on the app or in on the live stream chat, and we'll work those into the conversation. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice, be glad in it, take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, X. How you doing, man?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Welcome back. Good morning, DC. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. Good morning, guys. How y'all doing this morning?
Doing well. Now, before we get into any basketball Alabama stuff, 4 new Alabama guys got Super Bowl rings back to back by Alabama quarterbacks. One as a starter, one as a backup. Both named Jalen. Any thoughts on the Super Bowl from you guys before we get into this Bediako story? I'm giving everybody. The only reason I'm not going right into it, giving a few people a chance to get settled in this morning and get in their car, get their coffee ready, or those who join us on the live stream. Go ahead, guys.
DC?
Well, I guess on the Super Bowl, to me, I think it was a game of two things that I like to see in football, and that is run the ball and defense. And I think Seattle did that. That was a blueprint for their victory. And love seeing the Alabama guys play well. Jaron Reed has been in the league a long time, still in a physical imposing. Got good to see, Josh Jobe getting in there playing, and then of course got Jalen Milroe, backup quarterback for Seattle. His rookie year gets a Super Bowl ring. That doesn't happen very often for anyone in their rookie year, so it's very, very good for them. The Alabama guys on the other side playing. We had a really good representation in the Super Bowl. I think more players from Alabama in the Super Bowl than any other college.
Yep.
So overall, it was good.
Yeah, both of the rookie tight ends from Alabama were in the Super Bowl. Robbie Oots, of course, winning it. C.J. Dupree, Christian Barmore, and Anthony Jennings rounding out the Bama guys that were in it. So fully locked and loaded. A Bama quarterback 2 years in a row, even though Jalen Milroe was the backup. He is technically without any lead from Alabama, the first Alabama quarterback that's been a part of a Super Bowl championship since 1977. So it was pretty cool. Just little history notes there. It was a game of defense, and it was one heck of a game. Even though there ended up being 4 touchdowns scored in the fourth quarter. Great overall game. And you look at the simple fact that I think the Patriots got a little lucky getting there. I think their path got kind of carved for them with the loss of Bo Nix. I think you definitely see him in the Super Bowl in the Broncos if he doesn't get hurt the week before the AFC Championship game. And Jaron Reed might be one of the first guys, if not the first guy, to win a national championship at the JUCO level, D1 level, and a Super Bowl. So a pretty cool accomplishment for him.
He was definitely in an elite category. I when I hear people say stuff that they got lucky, I understand. When you win, they won how many games? 16 games, 17 games? Mm-hmm. You ain't lucky. You're just good. And every team, you can go back and look. The Broncos trailed in of their 13, 14 wins. They trailed in the fourth quarter on like 10 of them. I saw Dallas give them the game. So you could go back and say, I mean, I don't like the Patriots, but I'm also not going to knock the fact that they got to the Super Bowl, because every team that gets to the Super Bowl has a little luck along the way. I mean, it's just does Seattle get home field advantage if Adams isn't hurt? But nobody talks about that. When they played the last regular season, the last game, Adams didn't play for the Rams. So is that so? I know what you're saying, and I've heard that narrative, but I ain't gonna take it away from them. I think
and just so you realize, Sam Darnold is the first quarterback from his draft class to win a Super Bowl, and that's the draft class that includes Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, and he was the one that you get. That I wonder what the Jets think.
He would have been considered the second worst out of that first round draft class. Of course, Josh Rosen was out of the league in like 2-3 years. But yeah, he would of the ones that were still currently playing, you would at one point considered him the worst.
Yeah, in DC, I have to tie it into Alabama. You look at it and tell me systems and the play callers don't matter. Smith and Jigba, this dude went from awesome rookie. I think he was a rookie of the year candidate, maybe, to a down year to offensive player of the year. And everybody's saying it was just, well, it was Sam Darnold. If he didn't have a rookie year that showed him as explosive and dynamic, then I would agree with that. But this was not a 3-year trajectory. This was a great rookie year, down sophomore year, elite year. And the only difference in those is that this is his third offensive coordinator, and the guy in the second year put him in a different position. Talking about,
I agree.
Is that what Q Dixon's typing? It's funny seeing Seattle was running the ball in the Super Bowl and thinking about Grubb being fired. I know they have a new quarterback and some new O-linemen, but man, that made Grubb look bad.
Yeah, most definitely. And what I was saying was that, it's the blueprint for winning a national championship, I think, too, running the ball and playing great defense. I think, I don't think that I don't think it's anything that you don't already know, that running the ball is important. And I don't think that they did that well under Grubb. And I think after getting rid of him and firing him after one season, they made some changes. They went back and did what they did best: run the ball, play great defense, and that's a good start to a championship program.
How long is it before offenses go back to what's always won championships? It hasn't changed.
Defense and run game.
Show me the offense that's won a championship that wasn't supported by an elite defense and a run game.
Yeah.
Look at Indiana.
I'm talking about any level.
But I'm talking about, like, you look at Indiana this year, their defense was really, really good. And then they had 2 running backs that you could salt a game away with.
Right. Look, you go back and look at Tom Brady when his last championship with Tampa Bay. What was it? He had a good running back, and he had an elite defense. It's the same thing that won football when I was playing, before I was playing, since I quit playing, still wins championships. And the question is, can Alabama get back to it? I know that. And listen, I'm not saying you have to run it 100 times. That's not the point. The point is balance. You have your strength and you go with your strength. And if passing is your strength, you go with it. But it has to be supported by a run game and by elite defense. In my opinion, that's the champions. You can go back and look at them over and over and over. And every once in a while, you'll see an anomaly. But it better be a Joe Burrow type anomaly that's record-setting and something that doesn't just let this sink in. Joe Burrow had almost twice as many yards as the Heisman Trophy winner this year. It's Fernando.
This is the worst statistical Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in about 15 years.
Yeah.
But even if you go back and look at anomalies, Martin, even way back in our day when the Rams won the Super Bowl with Kurt Warner and the greatest show on turf, where they're throwing the ball all over the field, if you look at the statistics, they also had a great running game and they had a great defense that bailed them out of a lot of getting off the field quick on passes that were incomplete or intercepted too. So
yeah,
it's an anomaly. normally sometimes, but then you look deep, it's really not. And there's a running game and a defense there as well.
Yeah, and I bring up to Joe Burrow, and we're going to get the break and get to the Bediako story on the other side of the break. Jason Rutledge says LSU with Burrow, that defense wasn't elite. I didn't say it had to be an elite defense. It has to be complemented. Has to be complemented by defense. And if you watch that LSU team from the beginning of the year defensively to the end of the year, when you go back and watch them from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, they got better and better. And down the stretch, that defense was playing really good. And it's tough to play great defense when you score like LSU does. Yeah. I should say. That puts a lot of pressure on the defense because statistically, guys, they're out there a lot more because LSU was scoring quick and often and put their defense. But it wasn't an elite defense like Seattle had. I do admit that, and that was the point.
I mean, people say that, but they held number 4 Georgia to 10 points. They held A&M to 7 points. They held number 9 Auburn to 20 points. You know, they had some impressive wins and low-scoring wins.
That's what I'm saying is their defense got better and better and better.
And those are the end of the season games. I'm not that's the back half of the season that I'm talking about. Absolutely. They did that.
Absolutely, and that's the point. But anyway, glad to have all of you on with us. I know you want to talk about this Bediako story. Woo! Let's talk about it. And we'll give you a chance. Jump on the hotline 205-342-9904 or put your thoughts, comments, reactions to the Bediako story. We'll break it down on the other side.
Traffic. Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We're looking pretty good around the Tuscaloosa area this Tuesday morning. No major incidents slowing down travel. No lane blockages out there except for some long-term road construction projects going over, like the Flyover Bridge construction, Skyrim Boulevard at 359, and Skyrim Boulevard again right before 2059. Speaking of 59, it's still a speed limit ride in both directions. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I am Craig Wine.
This report is sponsored by Discover.
It's the grand reopening of the all-new Tuscaloosa Mazda. Get the grand reopening price. Plus, make no payments till spring. TuscaloosaMazda.com.
At Townsend Nissan, we bring the value. Drive the 2026 Sentra for just $279 a month, one of the lowest payments in Alabama. Plus, a lifetime powertrain warranty and 3 years of free oil changes when you mention Steve in DC. Townsend Nissan, your family in the car business.
Guess what? Discover's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. You heard right, 99%. If you don't think so, maybe it's time to face facts. You're stuck in the past. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report, learn more at discover.com/credit card.
Get your life back when the world's gone crazy. Get your life back. And I don't mean maybe when you know you got to have a friend. You call 833-833-MAS-WIZ and get your life back, baby. Get your life back, baby. Stephen Mezrano, Alabama Injury Lawyers. Mez wins.
Got timberland in West Alabama or East Mississippi? North River Timber Company has you covered. Since 2011, Courtney White, a registered forester, along with his expert team, have been managing timberland and harvesting timber across 4 West Alabama counties. They offer comprehensive timber management plans, reforestation services, and appraisals. Courtney White says timber is like money in the bank. Don't let your investment go unrealized. Call North River Timber Company today. Email them at northrivertimberco@gmail.com or call 205-242-5127.
Hey guys, you're guaranteed to make them smile this Valentine's Day with one call to Stephanie's Flowers. They have roses, all kinds of floral arrangements, and fresh cut flowers, stuffed animals, and balloons. They make it easy. Call 345-3074. Tell them what you're looking for and they'll deliver it for you. You can also pick it up at Stephanie's Flowers at 514 Hargrove Road East in Tuscaloosa. Make her smile on Valentine's Day with one call to Stephanie's Flowers. 345-3074.
Hey, I'm Martin Houston, and I want to tell you about exciting news happening at Box Eye Care. They moved to their new location, bringing you a brand new lab, stylish new frames, and a fresh look just for you. Enjoy their expanded frame inventory, competitive prices, and faster service, all with the same great level of service you've come to know and trust. Discover this full-service eye care at Box Eye Care's new location. With their in-house lab, they offer unbeatable value and one of the largest frame collections in town. Schedule your eye exam today and walk out with new glasses in less than an hour in most cases. Visit boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com or call 205-342-0660. That's 205-342-0660. Visit them at 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive. That's Box Eye Care. Your vision, our priority.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Some dense fog in spots this morning, otherwise partly sunny and very mild today, the high 71. For tonight, increasingly cloudy with the low at 55. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. We'll have the chance of a few showers during the day, the high 64. I'm James Spann with the Alabama Weather Network on Tide 100.9. It's 46 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All righty, welcome back in to the Martin Houston Show. Martin and Xavier and Simeon. It's a Tuesday morning, so that means we have DC capstone report. It's let me read Q Dixon's statement. Was the Bediako saga worth it for Bama? Only went 3-2 with him, and now Bama is the laughing stock of the nation. I'm glad it's over. Let's get Alan's been patiently waiting, so let's get his thoughts on it this morning, and then we'll circle back. Alan, you're in with DC, Simeon, and Xavier. What's on your mind?
What's going on? Hey, I'm like him. I'm glad it's over. He was relevant, but he's really never relevant. I just thought it set a bad precedent on players that thinking they can go up pro and come back. Eventually it'd been an NIL thing, in my opinion. Players that played in G League, hey, let's go ahead and get this guy to come back. He left early. Let's see, can he come back for the NCAA tournament? Let's give him a couple of $1 million to come back. And to me, it just sets a dangerous precedent later on in football and basketball. So I'm sort of glad he's over.
But see, it's not over. It's not over, Alan. DC, I know you have even more of a legal background to speak to this, but DC, why is it that people don't realize that I've heard anywhere from 30, I've heard somebody say 100, but I think it's 30-something players that have either played G League basketball or professional in the European League. DC, is the only difference that Bediako went to college and left, and all the other ones just bypassed college, but they can come back?
Yeah, that's exactly the only difference. Legality, the judge, if you listen to any of the hearing, the judge in this case cornered Bediako's attorneys into admitting that if he ruled in Bediako's favor in this case, it would be the only player that the NCAA has treated the way they treated Bediako, and that is that he came to college first, then left college, and then tried to come back. All the other, and I think it was documented to be 100 players that at one time or another the NCAA had given a waiver to play collegiate athletics, had either played in a professional league or a European professional league. They did not go to college first. And so that was the actual linchpin as to why the judge ruled against Bediako. That and Greg Sankey's affidavit, of course, was the nail in the coffin.
So Alan, do you understand what I
understand it now? Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody keeps saying, well, now it's not going to be G Leaguers coming back. What they have done, what Bediako did, was bring to light. Now, unfortunately, he's the one. He's not going to get to play, and I have mixed bags, and I'm going to get Xavier and Simeon's DC's them thoughts as well on this. But I wanted to point out to you, teams can still bring players back from the G League. People can.
I understand it. I see what you're saying. You're right.
People, they just can't be a former college player, which to me is absolutely. The college football, college sports said the following: if you choose me and leave me, I'm gonna treat you like we divorced, and I don't like you. But if you don't choose me, if you tell me no to the prom date, you can come back and get your prom date later, and you get all of it. In other words, Bediako played 2 years, forfeited 3. But if I don't play any and go to the pros or go to the league or go to overseas or go in the G League, I get all my years back.
So I got 2 questions for you. So does he get an appeal and maybe come back again? And my second one, and I'll hang up. I got a question about. I want to ask you a question about the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Just a little different. Since you didn't let Belichick in, does that mean Tom Brady has a hard time getting in also?
I mean, guys, and we got Sim and I talked about that. To me, you know how they're going to bypass the Tom Brady thing? They're going to say he left.
Right, he won with Tampa Bay.
That's what they're going to use. But the fact that they voted against Belichick because of Inflategate and Spygate, and Tom Brady won on those teams, they're going to use – that's the only thing. Because it's going to be stupid to put Drew Brees in on the first ballot and then tell Tom Brady. That shows you that the Hall of Fame – to me, that they make themselves look like a joke when you don't put Belichick in on the first ballot. So, thanks, Alan. Appreciate it. Guys, y'all respond, man. I mean,
well, to answer Alan's question specifically on an appeal, there is a path for an appeal, but no one can ever afford to take it, because if you appeal a ruling on a preliminary injunction to a higher court, you have to pay in a bond in an amount equal to the irreparable harm that you said that you were going to receive if you weren't able to do what you're asking to do. And in this case, it would be too high a price because they're talking about his worth and his education and his future playing sports. So I don't think most individuals don't have that kind of money.
So,
the Bediako. Well, let me hit the Belichick Brady thing, and then
hit that X, and then because we're up on a break. Just hit the Tom Brady thing, and then we'll pick back Bediako on the other side.
Yeah, I think Belichick got it on 2 fronts because of the cheating back in the day. But if he stopped that, we don't know how long it went on for. We know it affected like 1 or 2 Super Bowl appearances. He won Super Bowls before they could prove it, and they won Super Bowls after they, quote unquote, stopped it. So that's a little bit of a joke. But I also think he got penalized because this is the first time around that coaches only had to wait being removed from the NFL for a year versus they had to wait the 5 or 6 years that players had to wait until this time. So I think he got double kind of screwed on it based off of that standpoint. But yeah, Brady, because he won without Belichick, will get in when everybody views as the only reason Belichick is a Hall of Fame coach is because of Tom Brady. Because if you take away Tom Brady, they said he has a worse win percentage record than Jerry Glanville without Tom Brady as a head coach.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like
No,
saying
I know, but I'm saying that's going to play into the narrative.
when people say, I know you're just saying what people are saying. That's stupid. I mean, that's like saying, how do we know Tom Brady? He was the one that had to decide to play Tom Brady and bench Drew Bledsoe. He was the one that decided to play Tom Brady as a 6th-round draft pick instead of putting his starter back out there. How many coaches do you see have a quarterback that's playing well, Simeon? That's the backup, and then when the starter comes back, they just automatically put the starter back in.
I mean, isn't that always, especially in NFL, isn't that like the rule that
the
injury doesn't cost you, that the injury doesn't cost you a job in the NFL?
That's what they say.
It did with Drew Bledsoe, and it ended up winning him 6 Super Bowls. So,
yeah,
seems like a pretty good coaching decision right there.
Yeah. And over, he was the one that brought in. Everybody talks about who was a cancer where he played, Randy Moss. But when he came there, he played. How many culture guys were bad for the teams they played with, and then they would come to New England and they would play and stay in the flow? And because yesterday I told you I believe culture is where everything begins. Nick Saban created the culture here at Alabama. It's funny. It's funny how everybody argues about, okay, it's DeBoer's fault, right? But it's not Belichick's responsibility, DC. Okay, so if it goes bad, it's the head coach, but if it goes good, it's the elite player. Come on, I mean that's just stupid.
It just takes away all the credibility of an organization when they let people make arbitrary decisions that never coached the game. I disagree with it.
And here's the other part, Xavier, to your point, all of the people who were saying Spygate and Inflategate, none of them go back and find the articles where they condemned the Patriots to the point that it became a story.
Oh, I agree.
People were trying to get it talked about, but no one was condemning Belichick and Tom Brady for cheating then. Now they're going to get on their writers. Go figure. We'll be back on the other side right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin Xavier. We have DC Capstone Report. We're going to dig into this Bediako story. We have some legal insight that can help us understand it even more. If you missed it, yes, Bediako can appeal, but he has to appeal and pay at the level of what he thinks his value is. He has to have a bond of that amount. Now, Jacob Powell points it out. The Bediako and NCAA saga is not over. The Alabama and Bediako plan for Alabama is over for now. But he still has a lawsuit. We'll get DC's thoughts on that. We'll get your thoughts on it as well.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We're looking pretty good around the Tuscaloosa area this Tuesday morning. No major incidents slowing down travel. No lane blockages out there except for some long-term road construction projects going over, like the Flyover Bridge construction, Skyrim Boulevard at 359, and Skyrim Boulevard again right before 2059. Speaking of 59, it's still a speed limit ride in both directions. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I am Craig Weinman.
It's a crime to pay more than one dime down. So get to Tuscaloosa Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Plus, they have acres of certified pre-owned. TuscaloosaCDJR.com.
Hey guys, are you ready to take control of your health, energy, and performance? Primetime Men's Health Clinic is ready to help. Their clinic is built around the idea that men deserve better care, private and tailored to their lives. So if you're experiencing low testosterone, weight gain, hair loss, ED, or just want to perform like you did in your 20s, go to primetimemensclinic.com and change your life. That's right, guys. Change your life by going to primetimemensclinic.com.
This Valentine's Day, be sure to check out Sue's Flowers on Main Avenue in downtown Northport. They offer impressive fresh bouquets, decadent treats, plush animals, blooming plants, and other romantic surprises. If you're looking for the wow look, call Sue's Flowers for truly original Valentine's Day gifts. Sue's fresh Valentine flower arrangements bloom brighter and will impress her, her friends, her family, and everyone who will see them. Sue's Flowers is sure to have a bouquet she'll love. Call 758-2100 today.
The Town Square Media Big Buck Contest is back October 15th through February 10th. There will be an open range division winner, youth division winner, overall winner, and weekly winners. Each winner will receive sponsor prizes. Take your buck to be scored at Hicks Taxidermy on 69 North in Northport, just before Carroll's Creek Baptist Church. Sponsored by Tuscaloosa Tractor, Castaway Fish Co., Crimson Pride Hunting and Fishing, Precision Armory, Junction Grocery, Urbans, Military Surplus R Us, and Adams Heating and Cooling.
With Taco Casa, it's not really fast food because it's made fresh every day in the store. The quality hasn't changed. The consistency hasn't changed because we haven't changed anything in the food. It's made fresh every morning in every restaurant. I think buzzwords in today's food industry are locally sourced and high quality ingredients. We want to say, that sounds great. We've been doing that since 1974.
Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa.
I've always wanted to learn French, but the app I tried didn't help.
If you want to memorize words in another language, there's an app for that. But if you want to really learn another language, there's Babbel. Babbel was designed by over 200 language learning experts to be the most effective way to learn another language.
With other language learning apps, I was just playing games. I wasn't really learning. Babbel's different. Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Babbel feels like it was created intentionally by people who really know what you need to learn another language. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Want to really learn another language? Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com to save up to 50%. Babbel.com.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin Xavier, Simeon, DC on with us today. Talking about this Bediako case. Bediako was earning $40,000 to $50,000. I think I want to say it was $44,000. Is this a financial decision? That's what was said by MHSO 407. Who knows? But DC, kind of, when you look at Bediako and the ruling, I guess the first question is, you don't feel that he will do an appeal, but I guess the next question, DC, becomes, what happens if Bediako still wins his lawsuit?
Yeah. So this is two separate things here. You got talking about TRO and a preliminary hearing injunction. These are injunctive relief. They talk about equitable injunctive relief. So those have a different burden of proof. This is you have to prove an irreparable harm, and that's why when you lose your preliminary injunction, a lot of people might win their TRO because you don't have to have that same burden to get the quick TRO. But to win the preliminary injunction, you have to have that burden of proof. But when you lose the burden of that injunction, it would be easy to go, because you want to get something done immediately. That's what the injunction's for. It would be easy to do an appeal and then stay that order, and you go ahead and do what you want to do, and then hopefully the time's up, and you don't have to worry about winning or losing. But to keep that from happening across the judicial system, the bond issue is brought up. We had to post a bond that if you lose on appeal, you forfeit all that money, and that's why most people never appeal preliminary injunctions. The second part of it is a civil lawsuit against the NCAA, and in that civil lawsuit against the NCAA for their arbitrarily impeding him from making money from his being able to capitalize on his name, image, and likeness in college basketball, then that is a jury verdict before a jury of people where you only have to prove the preponderance of an evidence. You just have to tip the scales in your favor. And even the facts that we've seen here, I think the NCAA can argue these, how they apply their rules to a judge. But when you hear the fact that 100 players are playing that play professionally, and the only thing different, this guy tried to get a college degree first instead of leaving out of high school, most jurors won't make that connection to rule in the NCAA's favor. So he has a much greater chance on going forward with his lawsuit against the NCAA for some kind of monetary damages or some kind of settlement.
Yeah, and he doesn't get eligibility back, correct? He would just get monetary damage at this point, right? Because they would have to overrule it. They would have to overrule another rule because his window of eligibility would be up. I think that's why he got the temporary. I think that's why he got the temporary restraining order. Was because
he had the TRO because there was no other remedy that could have fixed it for him, and he didn't have to prove that immediate irreparable harm. He had to wait. That didn't happen to the preliminary injunction,
right?
Which is permanent.
Right. Now here's the other part. X and Simeon. Now you know that one of the things they're saying is that you went to college, but the other part is they're saying that he signed a two-way contract. So that's also the distinguishing mark, right, DC?
Yeah, they're saying he signed a two-way contract to be able to play in the NBA and the G League. Yes, that's another distinguishing mark as well.
Yeah, and so here's the question. Y'all remember? You guys don't remember it from being live, but here's the story, and I want y'all to respond. Here's where he wins in front of a jury. Antonio Langham was ruled ineligible for signing a napkin the night of our national championship win. He lost his eligibility because they said you have now signed with a professional agent. Therefore, you are now a professional athlete and no longer a college athlete.
That's right. And
let that sink in.
That was brought up in the hearing as well.
In X, Simeon, I get your response. Let that sink in. They're saying that a guy who signs and plays for an organization that calls himself a professional league, whether it's a G League or whether or not it's the NBA or the European League, somebody have to tell me when did declaring the draft. Anyway, respond to the whole a napkin. And now they're saying a guy who played 140 something games is not ineligible.
Yeah, that's insane. The whole Langham thing. I didn't realize it was a napkin. I didn't realize it was a napkin. I knew the story of him. Like, I thought it was just a verbal or even, but it doesn't make sense. And then you got, like you said, a guy named James Nunji at Baylor, who is going absolutely horrible for them. I think they've won one game since he's come back. But he plays 140 games at a professional level. But because he didn't sign a two-way contract and didn't go to college first, he's out. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the NCAA had to start somewhere. And maybe this gets everything else looked at. Maybe it doesn't. But at what point were you going to say, hey, once you've made a decision, you have to be an adult making an adult decision and live with those consequences. Because everybody wanted Charles Bediako to come back, and maybe coming back another year would have gotten him drafted, would have gotten him to the NBA, and he'd be playing there now. So it's a lot of things.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of feel for Bediako because, like, what's next for him? Does he go back to the G League team that he was just at? Is he? I know he's planning on finishing school. At least that's what Coach Oates said. But is his career over? Do you think another G League team is going to sign him again? I feel like he's been made the scapegoat for, you know, for no necessary reason. And so, from that point, I just feel for Charles.
Yeah, I agree in terms of I don't know what's next for him. I don't know how he moves forward, but I think the NCAA. I think this is enough that either way, this case, DC is going to force them to do something because they've created the mess, and one of their legal arguments was if you rule in favor of Bediako, we're going to have to defend cases like this all over the country. Well, so I thought you lost your eligibility when you declared for the draft or you went in the NBA draft. I never knew that there was something about – I thought once you were declared a professional athlete, you could no longer come to college. And there was actions, DC, that made you a pro athlete, and that was signing with an agent, signing or receiving money from someone outside of the umbrella of the NCAA. Okay. Things like that. I thought that's what made you a professional when you were paid for something other than college sports, where college sports allowed you to be paid. So if a professional organization pays you, that's not NIL. Is DC
Well,
there?
you're correct. That's what the NCAA guidelines said when you played ball. But I think if you look, there was a paragraph, the paragraph that you're talking about that hit Langham, Antonio Langham. That actual paragraph, unbeknownst and really kind of below the line of any publicity, was changed, and that came out in the hearing as well. And you'll need to read that. You need to read that paragraph, and one word was changed. It said in Langham's day, in your day, it said shall, forfeit his collegiate rights if he does that. And one word was changed in that when all this started happening with the NIL and the case out of the UCLA basketball player against the NCAA. Kind of in order to help themselves to show in the documents, the paperwork along all those, that they were not this league that didn't have any kind of discretion. They changed that word from shall to may. And so that's where they are able to do what they've done here for these other 100 players and not do it for Charles.
Wow. So has this ruling pretty much ruined college? Everybody's think this is going to make it better. Has this ruined college basketball in the NBA?
I can't hear anything. Is anybody still there?
Yeah. Can you hear us, DC? All right. I'll say that question for DC because we're getting the legal
But
side.
do we? My question is, when we're talking about this, we've also complained so much about how they keep giving guys years of eligibility, especially when we look at the football landscape. Well, Bediako gets denied. Trinidad Chambliss gets denied, even though his is a more screwed up situation because he had that year of eligibility given to him because of being sick. But if we keep doing it, you're going to continue to have 25-year-olds playing college sports. So
yeah,
are things kind of starting to trend in the right way? Like, 'cause look at Joey Aguilar. Joey Aguilar is trying to get his 8th year after spending
Post high
4
school.
years in JUCO.
Post high school.
8th year of post high school. After spending 4 years in JUCO, yes, I understand COVID and everything, but he still spent 4 years there, and then he's played at the collegiate level for another 3. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
I'm back, guys.
Yeah, and we got DC back. DC, what I was going to ask you is pretty much from what help me understand. Now, I think this is going to ruin college football. I mean, sports just as well, because they're still making. But Bediako's case publicized something that many people didn't know. I guarantee you, there's a bunch of guys who are in college that did not realize. Well, I guess does the ruling still nullify you to bypass college? I mean, go to college and leave, or is that part of the ruling, DC? Let me clarify that first. If I declare for the draft, am I now technically ineligible because of the Bediako rule if I'm in college?
Yeah, I think that this ruling specifically stated by the judge that the one distinguishing factor from Bediako than the other 100 players playing in college today was that he came to college first, and he violated a rule that the NCAA and all of its membership had agreed to, and they applied it. Didn't apply it arbitrarily to him. They applied it to him the way the rule was written, and it was different than they applied to the other 100 players.
Because of that. So here's the next question. How many guys are now going to bypass college and try their hands at because at European League? Or how many high school guys are going to go play Canadian football and still be able to come back and play college football?
Yeah.
Because
I think it'll affect basketball more than anything, because the NBA allows you to still, come in out of high school, and there's a lot of 5-star parade All-American high school players that will say, "Hey, I might as well go ahead and get the money now, and then go to college if it doesn't work out, instead of going to college and losing my eligibility to."
That's right. That's the stupidest thing I think. All right.
I think it sets up a horrible precedent for high school basketball players going forward.
Yeah. All right. And like I said, I'm glad in some ways, I'm glad it happened. I just hate Bediako had to be the scapegoat. But I still don't think it resolves football. Pat's been patiently holding. I'll get his thoughts on Pat. You're in with DC, Simeon, and Xavier. What you got?
Yeah, I feel bad for Alabama basketballs, all that. But, hey, what about Scott Huff? Scott Huff leaving Seattle, and they win a Super Bowl. I mean, hey, puts a black eye on Scott Huff too. That and Walker was his running back when he was there, and I realized Walker was a little hurt in 24. But hey, sure does make Scott Huff not look so great either. Maybe there was a reason that coach went after Clem instead of waiting on Scott Huff.
Well, I don't know that you can say that about Scott Huff, because Scott Huff went to the Rams, and the Rams had 3 of the best tight ends in the country in there, and elevated their quarterback to to MVP. So Huff left, and what Huff did when he left, it was a totally different result, Pat. So I get what you're saying, but I'm not gonna knock Scott Huff until I see Scott Huff go somewhere else and not do it. Scott Huff, I'm gonna put it on the person that was calling the play at Seattle, because when he went somewhere else, he still executed at a high level. So
and that was one. I was going to say it. That was one Ryan Grubb. Come on.
Yeah. Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Pat. Hey, listen, DC, he's out, and guys, we can get our answers tomorrow to this. DC, Bediako's out. Did it matter? Did it help Alabama? Was it embarrassing? Was it worth it? What's your opinion?
Oh, my opinion, first of all, is always start with the young man. I think it was important to the young man. I think Alabama has always had a history, a precedent of helping players do whatever they want to do as far as coming back, getting their degree, playing whenever they can do that. So I don't think that Alabama should be embarrassed by what they did. I don't think it should be any. I mean, the media will bash Alabama for doing it, but I don't think it hurt. I don't think it went 3-2. We didn't go undefeated while we had him, so it's not going to be one of those deals where we did so great with him and we'll do great bad without him. I think it was great to have him. It was great to have him around the program. First of all, if you don't know Charles Bediako, he is a wonderful young man, wonderful human being. He is a godly believer, wonderful, a very good spirit, and he brings a great thing to the locker room. Very unselfish player, and it sounds like he's selfish trying to do this, but that's not the kind of person he is. So that's number one. Number two, on the team, is it going to make a difference? Absolutely. You can't lose a presence like Bediako and not make a difference. So you're going to have to find a person to fill that void going forward of the voice in the locker room as well as on the court.
Absolutely. Bediako visited Harvest Church with Scotty Hollins, who will be with us on tomorrow. And so hated for him, praying for his future and what God has for him. Nate Oates has said he's going to keep him on scholarship and pay for his education. So pray that all works out as well, and pray that Charles gets another opportunity. Hey, we will have the Houston Huddle tonight. We'll kick off around 7 p.m. BC has helped us see a little deeper inside the Bediako saga and what's going on there. We'll break it down. We'll give more thoughts and opinions on it tomorrow. Is Scott Huff going to end up in Tuscaloosa coaching tight ends? We'll see. It's possible. Maybe. I don't know. We'll break it down. I'm Martin Houston. That's Xavier Houston. That's Simi Houston. That's DC Capstone Report. You can find it at dccapstonereport.com. Also on Facebook at DC Capstone Report. Remember this: trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, always acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Once again, we'll be back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel for the Martin Houston Show with Martin, Xavier, and Simeon, and the Houston Huddle tonight on all the live streaming platforms. Like, follow, and share. 7 o'clock, we'll be kicking off. Hold tight, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.